Hey there, Writer Rebels. It's been a year since I posted this video, Goals for 2021. So now that almost an entire year has passed, did I hit them? Stay tuned to find out. Hello everyone, it's me, Scarlett Kol, young adult author, YouTuber, and storyteller. And today I am back to talk about some goal setting stuff. So obviously this time of year, we're seeing a ton of goal setting stuff here on YouTube, on Instagram, everywhere you look. And obviously all of those planners are definitely on sale. So today I wanted to take a look back before I look forward and look at my 2021 goals and whether or not I hit them. So I'm going to kind of blind react to this video. Obviously these are my own goals, so I should know what they are, but sometimes there's always ones that kind of sneak in that you just don't really remember about, but hopefully I hit them. I'm really not sure how I did, so this could be really eye-opening actually. So we are going to go through the video and I'm going to react to how I did on those goals and give you some information on that. However, before I get into the video, I'm going to give a special shout out to my subscribers who keep coming back week after week. I really appreciate all of the comments and shares and all of the wonderful things that you guys provide for me and for this community. So thank you so much for being subscribers this year, and hopefully you are going to want to stay subscribers for many more. If you are not a subscriber, it's an easy thing to do. Just make sure you're hitting that subscription bar and the notification bell below this video. While you're down there, subscriber or not, make sure you're hitting that thumbs up button to let YouTube know this is something worth watching. Obviously, if we're going through my 2021 goals, the 2022 goals are coming up. So over the next couple of weeks, I will be talking about some of my goal setting process, how things have changed this year, and what those goals are for 2022. But without further ado, let's get into 2021. I skipped a little bit of the preamble here. This was actually a shorter video of mine, which is kind of nice. And let's go through it and see what happens. This is a really odd freeze frame, by the way. Very awkward.
First set of goals that I have is related to YouTube. So there's basically two goals related to YouTube that I'm trying to achieve for next year. The first is that I definitely like to grow my channel, just like any other authortube or YouTuber.
All right, so grow my YouTube channel. Did that. So I had about just south of 200 subscribers, I believe, at the time of this video, and now I'm sitting at about 400 and just shy of 470. Maybe by the time this airs, it'll be more than that. So I've definitely grown. I've doubled my amount of subscribers that I had from the year before. I've reached a whole lot more people. I have way more videos up here than I used to at this time last year. So obviously I have achieved this goal. Fortunately, I didn't say exactly how many subscribers I wanted to have, because ideally I would like to have more than I do, as any YouTuber would. They like to grow their community. They want to expand their reach as much as possible. And so that is something I'm definitely going to continue in 2022. I would like to reach as many people as I can, but yeah, we'll see how that plays into my goals for 2022. But for 2021, let's keep watching.
Goal is actually to change the format just a little bit. As much as I do really love doing the writing.
So this is something I definitely incorporated in this year. Starting in January, I did do a author vlog every single month, as well as, well, almost every single month. We still have 1 month to go in this year, which will be coming a little bit later. So I have been incorporating that kind of stuff, plus a few other videos where I've just kind of talked about things as opposed to directly with writing and publishing, and more of my experience as opposed to kind of those sit down or advice type videos. People seem to really like them. Actually, my vlog videos are some of my more popular videos when they release. So when it comes down to it, advice videos, and when I talk about my year in review of publishing, I will be talking a little bit more about some of my YouTube statistics and some of my most popular videos. And those most popular videos are still some of those advice sit-down videos, but I think that's because it's drawing in people that are just kind of, you know, searching the internet for information. They're trying to find something. They aren't planning on subscribing to my channel. They really don't care about me or who I am or my author journey. They just want the information, which there's nothing wrong with that. That's usually what I used YouTube for too, until I got involved in more of the authortube communities and such. So that is something that doesn't surprise me that some of my advice sit down informational type videos are the most popular over the year. But when I am releasing on a week-to-week basis, my vlogs are way more popular than some of my other videos. So I do find that really interesting. And yeah, hopefully you guys have liked what you see, and hopefully I'm going to have more interesting content coming in 2022. So let's get back to the goals.
So my second goal relates to social media.
I love the scene change here. True.
So what I'm going to be doing this year, the first thing is to dive into my data. I want to find out the areas that I did the most engagement.
So this is something that I definitely did in January, and I have actually done it a little bit recently as well. So I've taken a look at the types of posts that I've put out. I have taken a look at some of my, where I'm getting the most likes and shares and subscribers and all that kind of thing. And it is really interesting, especially on my Instagram. Anytime I show my face, it tends to be a much more popular post. I don't find myself very photogenic. I have to work at it a little bit, or I'll take 100 shots to get one that's just even halfway decent. And some of the ones up there aren't necessarily fantastic either. But for some reason, people seem to connect a little bit more when I show my face. The second ones that seem to be a little bit more popular tend to be those posts where I do something a little bit more artistic, a little bit more bookstagrammy with some of my books. But anything that's a little bit too sales pitchy, no surprise there, tends to fall to the bottom of the like and share and most popular pile. So I'm really not surprised at that, because people don't really like to be sold to. Unfortunately, as an author, sometimes you just have to do that. You need to talk about your books. You need to say when there's a sale. You need to say certain things about your books to get people interested in them. But it's definitely kind of changed on how I think about doing those sorts of posts and how I actually do them. It's really been interesting when you go into your data to find out those certain types of things. TikTok has fallen off the wayside just a little bit for me over the past year. It was taking up a lot of time, which there's nothing wrong with that, but I felt that I was doing a lot of performing as opposed to actually getting to the heart of why I wanted to be on there. I do find it a little bit more difficult for those people that aren't quite doing the spicy books. I know there's people who are going to argue with me on that, but it's totally true. If you're doing spicy stuff, it tends to go viral. It tends to get a lot more attention. There are people, however, who have recognized me from TikTok when I went to Comic-Con this year, which was really exciting. And I do want to try to get back on that, but I think I need to do it with a little bit more balance as opposed to trying to go completely in on it, because it was taking up a lot of time and a lot of creative energy, actually. Some of those videos, they may seem very simple, they may be off the cuff, but they take time to conceptualize and come up with and, film those sorts of things. I know a lot of people do batch content, and that's great, but I would get into a situation where I would batch a bunch of things and then I just wouldn't have content for a really long time. So I really need to relook at my TikTok strategy and whether or not that's even working for me. So that's something I am definitely considering for 2022, but the data was really, really interesting to dig into and to see the things that are the most popular. My Facebook groups and stuff have also grown as well. So it's really interesting to see what kind of posts and things people are more engaged in. I have been making an attempt to have more engaging posts with my Facebook group, as I find that people are more interested in things that, where you're kind of talking about them and getting their opinion as opposed to just talking about your books and stuff all the time. I kind of already knew that, and I was keeping a relative balance, but I'm actually talking a little bit less about my books in my group, just because hopefully those people that are joining already know a little bit about me. And if they want to know more, I do have newsletters and more of my Instagram and all that kind of stuff. So this is something I'm still going to be working on in the new year, but analyzing that data was a really, really good thing to do. And I have done it again in December just to make sure that everything was kind of aligned with the same system that I saw at the beginning of the year, because algorithms changed. They've changed a lot this year. I'm sure you've been hearing about that. So I wanted to see how that impacted the things that I was posting. So this was a really, really good thing for me to do. And whether you have a large following or a small following, if you have a couple of hours to take that time to look at the analysis and the data of your social media, I definitely recommend doing it.
Also, in terms of social media, I want to do a little bit better with Instagram. I've kind of been all over the place with Instagram, so I'd like to do a little bit more in terms of my author branding and being a little bit more consistent and building a more of a cohesive platform over on Instagram.
So this one about being a little bit more consistent on Instagram. I feel like I've done that, and it's actually taken a couple of different iterations. I did a brand audit back in January where they took a look at my platforms, and there was definitely things that I didn't understand about Instagram that I was definitely doing wrong. So, or not necessarily wrong. Everybody runs their page the way they should, but there were certain things that I was doing that I really shouldn't. There were things I was posting about which made better stories. I never really knew how to use stories very well, and I still don't use them to their full advantage, but I am using them a lot more than I had been in the past, which seems to get a little bit more engagement with people and is a little bit more personal. It's places they can answer, and it feels a little less formal than a post, which is great. And the posts that I've been doing, I've been keeping more of a relative schedule. I have specific types of photos that I post on a regular basis. I was doing everything 5 days a week, but I actually have cut down to 3 days a week for posts. I am trying to do a little bit more on my stories, and I do put reels in there periodically. I know a lot of people are saying that we should be doing more reels, but I kind of get into that conflict that I have with TikTok in the sense that I feel like I'm doing more performing than I am actually, engaging with people. So as much as I'm an author and a creative and I'm basically selling my creativity on a daily basis, it just feels like a little much for me. I need to figure out what my strategy is for that, and maybe that's something that's going to come in 2022. But I feel like I've definitely made strides with Instagram. I have a lot more followers than I did at this time last year, and I think a lot of that has to do with, cleaning up my content a little bit and just being a little bit more cohesive. There's definitely a lot more work that I could do. It is not the pretty Instagram feed grid that you're going to see with some of the influencers out there and stuff, but it is definitely something that speaks to my personality. And if anybody does take a look at my grid, they're going to know a little bit more about me and what I stand for, which is not something that I had this time last year.
The third goal in my social media section is related to TikTok. I basically just started TikTok I've been on the platform for a while, but I haven't really gone hard with it until about the beginning of November, middle of November maybe. So right now it is something that is exploding really, really quickly. I'm getting a lot of reach, even though I don't have a ton of followers yet. I have almost double what I have on YouTube, and I've been at that for a year. So I'm definitely getting a lot more reach on TikTok a lot faster.
Okay, so I did that. I got my 1,000 followers, and I actually got it very early in the year. However, I've not gotten very much further than that. I'm under 2,000 right now. I think I'm somewhere around 1,600, 1,700. And a lot of that has to do with, I went hard with TikTok. I was doing a lot of more reader content. I do find myself dipping back into writer content because obviously that's what I'm really comfortable with. But that engagement that I was getting at this time last year is just not happening, I see, as much anymore. TikTok kind of really took off this year, and I'm sure everybody's probably really noticed that. There's so many classes and things out there about how to sell your books on TikTok and how to be on TikTok and how to reach people. And I'm just not having that same genuine engagement that I was last year. Maybe that's because I have slowed down on what I'm posting, but I just find that, it's one of those things where I go on just to see funny videos or somebody doing something interesting, but I'm not really going on there to engage with people. And that's how I'm using it as a user. So I can just imagine what some of the other users are doing with that. So TikTok is something I need to reevaluate. I really like it. I don't mind being on camera, obviously. So this is something that I don't know if I really hit this goal. I did at the beginning of the year, and then I totally dialed back from TikTok. And I'm now kind of looking at it again, trying to see if there's a more balanced way for me to approach it. So I'm gonna go with half hit it, maybe, possibly. I did hit the 1,000. I did go hard at the beginning of the year, but I've definitely dialed back on that. However, just like any other goal, just because you've set a goal doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be relevant for you once you hit it or once you get close to hitting it. Just because this is something you set, you can change it. You can switch it up. So I'm going to say that I probably, didn't hit that fully, but I think that goal has kind of changed for me at the end of this year. And it's amazing how much 12 months changes things.
And my final set of goals relate to
another scene change.
So
these are important.
This year, I plan to release 3 books. I know that's a lot less.
Okay, so I totally failed on that one. I didn't know if I actually put the full 3 books in my goals, but I did. So the 3 books that I had originally planned on releasing were Sleepless, Fierce, and the first book in my Flames of Ancient series. I released Sleepless. That's the only book I released this year. If you've been following along with my vlogs, I've been having some struggles with my creativity. I've been having some struggles writing, and I am starting to get back out of it, and I will talk more about that when I set my 2022 goals. But I did not get nearly as far enough to be able to publish any of those things. So Fierce is still coming. I'm hoping that it will be in the early part of next year. And then my Flames of Ancient saga, it's kind of on the back burner a little bit. I decided to switch up the order of the series that I have coming out. So I am actually going to be working on a different book, and that one will probably come after. Fortunately, I haven't talked too much about it other than saying things like, hey, I'm going to release this book, but I haven't really told much about it to people. So it's not like that there's that much pressure to actually be releasing that book. I don't think anybody's waiting for it. So my productivity obviously just totally tanked in 2022. So I didn't even get, so I got a third of this goal done. So I'm going to say that that was unfortunately a fail, but sometimes that just happens. I know it's kind of been around lately where I've been talking with a lot of people, and a lot of people have really struggled with their creativity in 2021. I don't know if it's burnout from 2020 or what the deal is. So I'm hoping that's going to be a little bit better for next year. And as you can see, I have actually changed this goal a little bit. So you will see that in my upcoming videos, but this one was a hard fail and it hurts, not gonna lie.
My launch plan. So I mentioned me.
So this happened, kinda. So I wanted to revamp my launch plan. I wanted to talk more about my books. I wanted to promote them a little bit more and give them a little bit more effort that they deserve. So this is something that I did. I spent a lot of time researching various different things about launch plans, what different people do. I put together a great spreadsheet of all of the possible things that I could do for a launch and whether it made sense for certain books and all that kind of fun stuff. So when I did release Sleepless, I did go a lot harder with my launch than I typically do. I did a lot more with social media. I tried different angles that I had never tried before. I actually took the day off of the release day to make sure that it was as effective and as much of the things on my list that I could possibly do rather than trying to balance it around my day job. And I think it went relatively well. However, based on the last goal that I had, I did plan to release 3 books. So I was planning to hone that process a little bit over those 3 books. So by the time I got to releasing my new series, I was gonna be in a really good position and know the things that made sense and the things that didn't. So I did revamp the plan. I did follow the plan. I don't know if I've perfected the plan because I haven't had any other releases. So I'm going to say that I have achieved this goal because my intention was to try to improve things, and I think I did. But yeah, I would have liked to have had more practice at it, and that ties back to the goal before. But we'll see what happens for 2022.
Talking a little bit, I would really like to go in garden shed in my backyard.
Okay, so this is an interesting one because the goal actually changed. I was building the shed. I had picked out the shed. The husband had come with me. We had figured out how we were going to lay down the shed. You know, we had gone down the road of figuring out, you know, how we were going to pay for it, how everything was going to work out. And it was happening. We were getting the shed. He was on board. It was happening. And then I said no. So the reason I ended up turning it down in the end was I just felt like I actually have an office space in my house. So I have my own personal office. Yes, we do have the family computer in there that my kids use and a piano, but technically that is my space. So I do have a space in my house to be able to do that. Sometimes it is a little distracting still because people know where to find me and I can hear everything going on in the house. So it's still not that separation like it would be with like a writer shed or a she shed out in the backyard. And as much as I would really like that, it was actually putting a lot of pressure on me in the sense of, well, what if I stop writing? Or what if I don't get out there enough? Or what if the weather is kind of cold and I don't get to enjoy the shed as much as I want to, and I spent all of this money to put it there and get it laid down properly and the foundations and all the kind of stuff that needs to go along with that, and then I'm just not writing, or I change my mind, or it's just not the space that I expected it to be, and you know, I'm writing just as little or just as well or whatever as I am in my personal office. So I decided that for the amount of money that it would cost for a she shed in the backyard, that I could get a lot of hotel nights if I really needed that separation from my house and family for that. So I decided to kibosh this goal, and it was just, it's kind of heartbreaking because I was so looking forward to it, and I actually had bought like some cute throw pillows and things to put in there. But unfortunately, this was something that I didn't truly in my heart want to go through with after it was kind of going down that road. So this is kind of just a no goal. It's not that I didn't achieve it. I would have, like, all I had to do was say yes and it was happening. And I changed it. It was one of those goals that I just didn't make sense for me anymore. So it's off my list, and it was actually a little heartbreaking because it's been on my list for like years. It's something I've been wanting to do, but when I came down to reality, it just did not make sense for me, at least not at this time. So maybe it'll come back again. Maybe I'll have some fun she shed video one of these days. But for right now, this doesn't work for me. All right, so that was all of my goals for 2021. I actually took it pretty light on myself. It's really interesting watching this video again because as soon as I started watching it, I could remember the mindset that I was in back last December. And at that point, I was really all about growth. I wanted to be more confident about my books. I wanted to put myself out there even more than I already was. I wanted to grow my YouTube channel. I wanted to grow my empire. I wanted to be, you know, CEO of successful business Scarlett. And as much as that's something that I still want to do, I do find that it's really, really interesting that the one goal that I didn't hit, I'm not counting the she shed, the one goal that I didn't hit was the writing. So yeah. This is definitely something to think about because as an author and being on a authortube platform, I didn't come to YouTube to be a famous YouTuber, which is great because that's just not happening for me. But I didn't come here to be a famous YouTuber. I am in this space because I want to be a famous author, and that is one of the things that's super duper important to me. And when I've been doing a lot of my planning stuff for this year, that is one thing I've noticed about all the plans and things that I have been making and the strides that I have been making, which has definitely been positive. It's getting me away from being the author that I want to be. So obviously you're going to see a shift in the goals for next year. I do find that people do have, you know, cycles in their life where things need to happen. A couple of years ago, my big strive was towards exposure. I wanted to, you know, get into a lot of anthologies, make relationships with other authors and other providers of services, so like editors and cover designers and all that kind of stuff. And I wanted to build that community around me and kind of like launch myself onto the author society in terms of, you know, showing that I'm here and I'm ready to do the work and I'm trying to propel myself forward. And I did make a bunch of those relationships. The next year, I had different focuses that I was focusing on. Clearly this year was on, you know, growth and expansion in terms of all of those other things. But the thing that suffered the most, which I can definitely see in this video, is down to that writing. I released one book this year, which is still awesome. Do not get me wrong. I am super proud of releasing that book, and it is something that has been a book kind of, it's not the book of my heart, but it's been around for a while, and I love these characters, and I really, really wanted to tell the story and do it the right way, and I feel that I did. But everything else after that kind of took a backseat to everything else. So this will be interesting for the 2022 goals. Obviously, my focus is going to be shifting for 2022, and hopefully you're going to enjoy that video when it comes out. So I'm not going to give you too many more details at this point because that's going to be a whole other conversation. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you really enjoyed this reaction to my goals. It was kind of fun, like doing the little scene swap. So maybe I'll consider doing that for my 2022 video, but we'll see how that goes. If you are wanting to see those planning videos, then you need to definitely become a subscriber. So YouTube will let you know when those videos are coming out. So make sure you're hitting that subscription bar and the notification bell so you do get that email. Otherwise, I will see you guys all soon, and I hope your planning and your plans for 2022 are wonderful. And hopefully you've met all of your goals for 2021, or at least the ones you want to hit.